A household income of $129,000 a year in Toronto. That's a great income, one that puts you well above the median. You have played by the rules, worked hard, built a career, and saved your money. That should be more than enough to buy a decent family home, right? It should be the key to unlocking the dream of home ownership in a world-class city, but the numbers tell a very different and frankly pretty shocking story. What if I told you that this comfortable six-figure income barely gets you into the door for a starter home, and that even if you could land a mortgage? It would push you to the absolute financial brink. Today, we're going to run the real numbers based on actual bank lender rules as of early 2026 to reveal the shocking truth what a $129,000 household income really buys in Toronto. The answer is going to change how you see this market. Let's paint a reliable picture. Meet Jason and Maria. They are a couple in their early 30s. He's a graphic designer and she's a marketing manager. And together, their gross household income is $129,000 a year. They have done everything they were told to do to succeed. They went to school, built their careers, and they've been saving like crazy. Over the last 5 years, they've scraped together an impressive $60,000 for a down payment. They feel like they're ready to buy. They have stable jobs, a good chunk of cash saved, and they want to plant their roots right here in the city they love. Their dream isn't extravagant, a two-bedroom condo, maybe a small townhouse where they could think about starting a family. On paper, they look like the perfect candidates for home ownership. But as they're quickly finding out, the Toronto real estate market is playing a total different game. Their journey from confident savers to stressed out home shoppers is a story that's all too common in the city. Before we figure out what Jason and Maria can afford, we need to understand how the bank sees them. When you walk into the lender for a mortgage, they don't just glance at your income. They stress test you. They scrutinize your debt. They use two key formulas to decide your faith: the gross debt service ratio, GDS, and the total debt service ratio, TDS. Under the rules from CMHC and Canada big banks, your GDS ratio has to be below 39%. This means all your main housing costs, the mortgage payment, property taxes, heat, and half your condo fees, can't be more than 39% of your gross monthly income. Then there's the TDS ratio, which is capped at 44%. This includes all your housing costs from the GDS plus any other debts you're carrying. We are talking car payments, student loans, credit card balances, all of it. But the biggest hurdle, the real dream crusher, the mortgage stress test. As of early 2026, you don't qualify for a mortgage based on the nice, attractive interest rates you're actually offered. No. You have to prove you can afford the payments at a much higher rate, either 5.25% or your contract plus 2%, whichever one is higher. So let's say you get offered a 5-year fixed rate of 4.5%. The bank is going to judge your entire application as if this rate was 6.5%. This single rule is the number one reason buyers qualify for tens or even hundreds of $1,000s less than they think. All right, let's plug in Jason and Maria's numbers into the bank's calculator. Their $129,000 gross income is $10,750 a month. We will give them some pretty modest debts: a $500 monthly car payment and $300 student loan. That's $800 a month in non-housing debt. First, let's look at their maximums. Their GDS max at 39% will allow for a monthly cost of $4,192. Their TDS max at 44% allows for a total debt payment of $4,730. And here's where the story takes a turn. To find their real housing budget, Their TDS max at 44% allows for a total debt payment of $4,730. And here's where the story takes a turn. To find their real housing budget, we have to subtract their other debts from the TDS limit. So $4,730 minus their $800 car and student loan payments. Leave them with just $3,930 per month, everything house related. It's the TDS ratio, not the GDS, that's putting a ceiling on their ambitions. That's $3,930 has to cover their mortgage at the high stress test rate, plus property taxes and heat. For a starter condo, let's estimate monthly property tax and heat at around $450. That leaves them with a maximum mortgage payment of $3,480. So, the million-dollar question. How much mortgage does $3,480 a month actually get you? At the stress test rate of 6.5% and 25 years amortization, the maximum mortgage Jason and Maria can qualify is about $530,000 and their $60,000 down payment. And their maximum purchase price seems to be around $590,000. But wait, there's a catch. Because their down payment is under 20%, they have to pay mortgage default insurance, which gets tucked in right into their mortgage. This actually eats into their purchasing power a bit. So being realistic, their absolute maximum purchase price after all is said and done is around $585,000. So Jason and Maria have their magic number, $585,000. They have got the pre-approval letter right in hand and they're ready to start shopping. But what can they actually buy? Let's look at the market in early 2026. The average price for a condo apartment in the GTA for 2026 was just $605,000. Right off the bat, the average condo is out of reach. In the city of Toronto specifically, January prices for a condo were around $542,500. But this reflects a market with a lot of older and smaller units. Their budget forces them to hunt for properties at a lower end of the market. Units that are smaller, older, or further away from the core that they had hoped. What about the other options? A townhouse. The average price for a semi-detached home in the GTA was sitting around $946,000 in January, with freehold townhouses not far off at $915,000. Even a condo townhouse would likely cost them closer to the $680,000 range, which is still far away from their budget. And a detached house, the average price is well over $1.27 million. So that's not even in the same universe. This is the cold, hard truth. A couple earning what most people would consider a very good income, who have saved diligently, are now in a position where they can't quite afford the average starter home in the GTA. Their dream is immediately slammed by the brutal reality of the market numbers. If you are watching and you are feeling this, it's because this is all sounding a little too familiar. I get it. The first step is winning in this market is to understand your own numbers. Let's see what Jason and Maria, if they can find a condo for their maximum budget of $585,000. Okay, let's say Jason and Maria got lucky. They found a one-bedroom plus den condo for $585,000. Their offer is accepted and they pop the champagne. They are the new homeowners. But this is where the second shockwave hits, the reality of their monthly budget. The gross monthly income is $10,750. After taxes and deductions here in Ontario, their actually take-home pay is roughly $7,500 per month. Now, let's add up their real monthly cost. Their mortgage is about $525,000. At a 4.5% contract rate over 25 years, that's a monthly payment of $2,900. Next, condo fees. For a building with a gym and a concierge, it's easy to budget $700 a month. Property taxes on a place like this, that'll be about $350 a month. And let's toss in $200 for utilities and hydro and internet that aren't included in the fees. Let's do the math. $2,900 for mortgage, $700 for condo fees, $350 for property tax, and $200 for utilities. Their total monthly housing cost is $4,150. Now, let's put that into perspective. On a take-home income of $7,500, a housing cost of $4,150 means 55% of their net pay is gone before they even bought a bag of groceries or Starbucks. And remember, there are other debts. That's another $800 for car and student loans. That leaves them with just $2,550 for everything else. For the whole month, for two people, that's $1,275 each for groceries, transit, car insurance, gas, cell phone, clothing, and anything else of hoping of having a life, going out for dinner, saving for a vacation, anything. The budget is incredibly tight with zero room for error. What happens if the condo fees need a special assessment or one of them gets sick? This is the very definition of being house poor. You own the walls, but you can't afford to live within them. So what does a $129,000 income really buy you in Toronto? It buys you an entry ticket to the game. The fundamental issue is a massive disconnect between the people earn and what a home costs. The promise sold to our parents' generation that a good job and smart living would lead into a home is mathematically broken for so many people in Toronto today. Even with an income that puts you well above the average, you're forced to compete for far below average properties and stretch every single dollar. This isn't to say it's impossible, but it is to say you need to walk into this market with your eyes wide open to the real numbers. The affordability crisis isn't just a headline. It's a mathematical reality that's squeezing households just like Jason and Maria every single day. I don't think the wages will go up enough or house prices will fall so much that we see a balance. In the long term, I see the gap between owners and renters expanding. Home prices have come down in the last 3 years. Unless you plan on being a renter for life, which is okay for some people, you have to take advantage of the market. You have to get into real estate as early as possible because it will get much harder later on. What do you think? Have you been through this yourself? Let me know your thoughts and the story in the comments below. I promise, I read every one of them. If you have found this information helpful, please subscribe and hit the notification bell. If you are thinking of buying or selling real estate in the GTA, please give me a call. My contact information is in the description below. Until next time, see you soon.